I'm using Prezi. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, probably all of you are. I'm fairly new to it. I downloaded it last night. So, a very brief introduction into me. My name is Jackie Blue. I'm the head teacher of Chester Hill High School. I'm fairly new to the position. I started it at the beginning of last year. My teaching career began before I started teaching, when I was doing my prac at Chester Hill High School, actually. During that time, I volunteered some time with their learning and support team, and as a result of that volunteering, I got a paid teacher's aide job at the school. And then at the end of that period, as I was graduating, the deputy principal at the time recommended me to somebody who was looking for a teacher to do a year block at Ingleburn. So I did my first year of teaching at Ingleburn High School, and then at the end of that block, I got offered a 6-month block at Ashcroft High School. Then a permanent position came up there and I applied for it and got the position. So I stayed at Ashcroft for a total of 6 years. So I saw one cycle of students through from year 7 to 12, which was really awesome. I really liked that. I practiced everything, failed at everything at Ingleburn for a year, and then I got out of there. And had 6 years at Ashcroft. In my last year at Ashcroft, I was able to fulfill the role of relieving head teacher for a year. My actual head teacher said to me, could you fill in for a term at first? And I think she knew me enough to know that if she'd asked me to do the whole year initially, I probably would have said no. I wasn't sure if I wanted to be a head teacher. So I took on the term. At the end of the term, she said, can you do term 2? I said yes. And then at the end of term 2, she said, I'm not coming back for the rest of the year. So I stayed on for the rest of the year. And it was actually the best thing that could have happened to me. When she said that she was coming back, I was hungry and ready to try a new challenge, and so I applied for the job at Chester Hill High School. One of the most important questions I think that we need to answer is, what do we teach? And I heard Judy say this when I came and met with one of her classes a couple of years ago, I think. What do we teach? We teach students. And it's a bit of a trick question, isn't it? Because it's not who do we teach, it's what do we teach. But I think if the answer to that for us at the core is students, then we're at a good starting place. And why are you a teacher? I mean, I think I have the absolute best job in the whole wide world. So if your answer is something along the lines of why you're a teacher is because you want to change the world, then I think that that's a good answer to have. And I think they're the two most important questions to ask and answer for yourself as a maths teacher. And so I really want to challenge you and provoke that thought in you. Oh my goodness, my thoughts have been provoked so much by your presentation this morning. I'm exploding with questions and what about this and what about that? So what do you teach? We teach students first and foremost, and I think if that guides everything else that we do, then we're in good stead to be awesome mathematics educators. So obviously the first point to that is to know your students and how they learn, and that's the number one element of the Australian professional standards, and I think that's for very, very good reason, because it's the grassroots of what we do. So I think that the most important thing is that we, as we get into schools, need to be able to create and differentiate programs. We've just heard all about that, but looking at what is going to meet the learning needs of your students, because we all have this one syllabus to follow, and we have to work out how it's going to meet the needs of the students that walk into our classroom. And I was really encouraged by the plethora of ideas you gave in how you can differentiate the learning, but again, overwhelmed by how are we to do that. In my experience, I've taught a lot of different levels of maths, and I had a Year 8 class that was obviously a Stage 4 class, but a lot of students working at a Stage 2 and 3 level. And in my experience, I really strongly believe that you can teach those Stage 4 outcomes at a level that will meet the needs of those students who are working at a Stage 2 or 3 level. I really, really believe that, and you can find really creative ways of doing it. But the most important thing is to make sure that the curriculum is accessible by a highly supportive environment. And we can do that by modelling and scaffolding and creating those challenging situations that you then support the kids to access. So my advice to all teachers, beginning and long-term career, is to be getting out of the classroom. One of the best things that you can do as a teacher is to get involved in whatever it is that your school is doing. And do it because you're passionate about whatever it is you're going to be involved in, not because it's going to look good on your CV. That stuff will come anyway if you are getting involved in genuine ways. And stay involved at a grassroots level. I'm a head teacher of maths, but I also run a boxing initiative at my school. We've just started that up this term with girls who are at risk, working with some girls who are not at risk. I think you know what I mean when I say at risk. They're not engaged in school, so it was a way to get them engaged, and it is seeing improvements in their behaviour in the classroom, and I think that's really important. Learn to say no, which is the opposite of get involved. I just mean say yes to the things that you are going to get in there and smash and change the world with. Okay, so whatever it is that you do it well. And I'm going to have to sit down and maybe we can talk about things later.